Okay, we've just finished making our cumulative frequency table in Excel, and what I want to show you now is how to make the cumulative frequency chart. This is very similar to how you do the histogram, but we're going to use autograph for this. And I always go advanced, just because it gives you a little more options. So the page we give now is for graphing, but we want to go up to this sigma, which is a statistics page. We can open this up, and then I need to enter in my data before I do anything. So I can either go up here and click on enter grouped data, or I can right click here and do the same thing. So let's just go ahead and do that. Now we know this data set is, we can name it whatever we want, cumulative frequency chart. Actually, this will be our graph, so let's call it graph. And we know the intervals because we actually have the intervals right here. I don't have any in this range, so it's kind of pointless to include it. So I'm going to start at 15, and notice each one goes up at 5, so that makes it a lot easier to enter into group data. Otherwise, I'd have to do it manually. But since all the class widths are the same, they all go up by 5, I'm okay. So I put my minimum here, which is 15, and my maximum in this case is 40, and we're going up by 5s. So I come down here to enter in manually the amount of data. In that first range, I have to go back and look. So it's going to start at 15, remember. So I have to enter in these values, 1, 10, 6, 4, 1. So I go back to autograph, enter those in, 1, 10, 6, 4, 1. I hit OK, it didn't have any issues. If you have any issues, let's just double click. Let's say I accidentally put in that first 0, because this happened to me before. I hit OK. Doesn't like it, but it tells you the error. It says there's an extra value, so look at it. Okay, and we know that 0 shouldn't be there. Return. We know that 0 shouldn't be there because that's what I put first. Hit OK, but nothing comes up. But now we have some more options up here. This is a histogram. If I wanted to do that, just click OK. Now my histogram shows up. Don't want a histogram. What I actually want is a cumulative frequency chart. Curve fits a little bit better. Don't worry so much about the curve tightness. 60 will be fine for what we're doing. And then I just press OK and it shows up. Now of course I have to clean this graph up if I'm going to use it in an assignment. First thing you probably notice is that we have a whole bunch of dead space over here because our smallest one was 15. So if I go to my axes, edit those axes from 15 to 40, and then I can control this once again. Maybe I want to go back and do every 3 this time. And these pips are the vertical lines, which I don't very much care for, so I put in a huge number so they don't show up. We see OK. Now maybe you want the pips in there, or maybe you want more, so let's go back in there and just so you can see what that does. Say you put in there, whoop, that's not auto, that's not what we want, every 5. So it's going to show up every 5, will give us a line, and maybe you wanted to put this at every 2. Okay, notice you can also change the options for the vertical because it's going by 10s, and that's not really going to help us too much as well. So maybe this should also go by 5s. Okay, our range goes all the way up to 30, but our data does not. So our highest value was 25, so it was 22, so let's go up to 25. And now we have a nice looking data set, and we can see everything in there. Have not named my axes yet, which of course we'll need to do. So I go back to edit axis. Here I have my labels. X will be the BMI, and this can be the cumulative frequency. Okay, I always go to appearance just to make these a little bit bigger because when we take our screenshot, if we don't make these bigger, I like size 20, then it just doesn't show up well. And the idea is, the main idea behind a graph is that you can read it easily. So here we go, we have a good looking graph, and now we can do our print screen once again and just copy and paste our cumulative frequency. Not a bad idea to have it right next to your chart. Okay, once again, you're going to have to go in and crop. It's a little bit harder for me with this program because my cursor is flashing. I cut out that bottom part because it adds nothing. But we can see here, page layout, maybe you want to switch that just so you can see this a little bit better. You might notice that I only have values from 0 to 25 on my y-axis. I don't like that. I would rather we need to have more stuff labeled there. So I'm going to go back here, edit my axis once again, and see what happened. Okay, so it's going from 0, here it is. It's because it's on auto. I don't want it on auto. Maybe I want it to count every, let's just do the same. Count every 2, and it'll give me pips every 5. Good, so now we have a much better graph, and I'm just going to print screen, but notice how keeping that up there while I was doing it, and you can actually save these files, so if you want to adjust it later, you can, but now I can just delete the one I don't like, paste the new one, and crop. Okay, it's very important that you save your graph somewhere, and I like to label the file whatever the name of the graph is. That way if I need to go back later and adjust it, I can do so easily. But now we have our cumulative frequency versus BMI graph. We can see easily that the frequency goes up to 22 since we put that in there. That's 100% of the data there. If I wanted to find halfway, I just look. Well, that would be the 11th value, which is right here. Okay, and then we'd have a BMI of about 25. So you can even find your median and your quartiles from this. It's a very useful curve.